Next up at UFC 327, we have the new co-main event.
Did you really eat everything in that bag?
I had everything. No, well, some of it was taken out before I got the bag. So everything I read wasn't just for me.
Type of 2 if you believe that.
We have Azamat Murzakanov taking on Paulo Costa. This was a different main card fight. They bumped up the co-main event because they moved Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira to UFC 328. I don't hate this as a co-main. I feel like this is a decent fight card, and I'm not paying $90 for it, so I don't hate this. Undefeated Azamat Murzakanov taking on, top 5, top 6 middleweight Paulo Costa. This is not at middleweight, though. Paulo Costa has moved up to light heavyweight. He's a tremendous person. I don't think that's going to work against him. Azamat Murzakanov, undefeated in his career, 5-0 in his last 5, 12 knockout wins, taking on Paulo Costa, 15-4 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off that spectacular win over Roman Kopylov, which you could argue was one of his best wins in a very, very long time. Azamat Murzakanov.
Did you know
that
was his only win in the UFC versus an active UFC fighter?
I did not know that, but I do have a stat here. In the last 3 years, Paulo Costa has had more canceled fights than real fights. You know what those numbers are?
Enlighten me.
7 canceled fights. 7 fights that did not happen in the last 3 years. And only 5 fights that did. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? I think it's more crazy that the only person he's beat that's active in the UFC still is Kopylov.
It's funny because
he's 2-3 in his last 5. Kopylov is, or 3-2. They had 2-3, I think.
That is a wild stat because I believe, I don't see it in my notes here, in the quick pick video, I think I went through all right, what was his last real win? He looked great against Kopylov. What was his last win before that? An old retired Luke Rockhold who came back for one fight after an extended layoff, and they were dying out there. Mm-hmm. They fought to the death.
And before that,
who was before that?
Yoel
Romero, yeah, who's 58,
and they went to war too.
Yeah, and I mean Yoel's actually still good, so that's not terrible.
Looks good.
That has aged somewhat well. I mean, Paulo Costa's we'll start on his side, I guess. He's a good fighter. First of all, great looking. Second of all, he's aggressive. He's tough as hell. He's got spectacular cardio for a guy that you don't think should have very good cardio. He can do all the things. He's a bit inconsistent. He's had a ton of canceled fights. You don't quite know what you're going to get out of him, but there is some good volume there. He will move forward. He will fight you. Takedown defense listed at 80%. Azamat Murzakanov, not a very big light heavyweight. He's got legit power, though. He's fast. He's heavy-handed. He has a knockdown in all 7 of his UFC fights. He's a good wrestler, good ground and pound, but he's just doing such good things on the feet. He doesn't typically need to wrestle. He just knocked out Alexander Radtke, and he only needed 3 strikes to do so. But that actually makes this tricky because I understand people's instant love for Murzakanov here with actually just stats like Jacob's thrown out really paints the picture of what we're working with. But Azamat Murzakanov does slow down. He does fade. He's not like this unstoppable force. He was losing that fight against Tafon and Chukwi. He was losing that fight and then landed a perfect shot in the 3rd round in a fight that he was on his way to lose. And the only reason he was even put in a place to win is because Tafon and Chukwi's coach was be more aggressive, which was the worst advice you could have given the guy in that situation.
He was just throwing the same knee over and over and over, then finally landed it. Because I remember we were both, I think we were watching that together, and we were both like, why does he keep throwing that same fucking knee? And then it was oh, there you go. He figured it out.
I'm going to pick Murzakanov here because I think he's just faster. I think he hits harder. I think he's cleaner. But he's not going to knock out Paulo Costa. This dude, outside of the time that he got blackout drunk the night before fighting Israel Adesanya, he's insanely durable. He's tough as shit. And he might look spectacular at light heavyweight. He might wear this weight class really, really well. So I'm going to pick Murzakanov because I think he's faster. He's definitely the better striker, the more powerful striker. But power only matters if you're hitting a human, and we haven't really seen Paulo Costa's head be human yet. So Murzakanov is going to be the pick. I'm not as all in on him as some others might be. What do you think, Jacob?
Who'd you pick?
Murzakanov.
Oh. I will say that I'm looking at the Tapology right now. Murzakanov 79%, 21% Costa, which is a little bit surprising to me because usually I have a pretty good gauge, as I mentioned, usually every week about like kind of who the favorite underdog is. And there's a lot of close fights, but it feels like a lot of people are on Paulo Costa. Maybe that's just because of the fan base he's kind of built as his personality and stuff like that. And he did look good against Kopylov, but I think if you rewatch that fight, he did kind of beat Kopylov's ass, but he did kind of the typical Paulo Costa, like second and third round stuff. You talked about Azamat slowing down. Costa's kind of the same thing. Both of them are tough dudes. They're both, but I think that it kind of cancels each other out because he started dropping the hands. He started getting hit a little bit more. And I think we're going to realize as time goes on that Kopylov win, that yeah, it was a good win for him. You know, I don't think it's going to translate the way that people think. People are acting like Paulo should be like the favorite or it's a pick 'em or whatever. Azamat's the better striker. I think he's proven that he is the better striker. He's going to be the better striker with more power. He's probably even got some sneaky takedowns. We've seen him kind of defend and kind of like the way that you see him flow when he wants to flow in the grappling. You're like, okay, yeah, that definitely knows what he's doing. Almost like the Ethan Ewing where we said, you know, he's not a grappler, but you can tell when he's in those positions, like he's going to know what the fuck he's doing. So it just feels like this is price correct, in my opinion. Like, I don't think Paulo's going to have the speed that he thinks he's going to have at 205. They say now he's cutting down from like 230, 235. Like he's really kind of this isn't a guy that like is just going to stay at 210 pounds and cut 5 pounds. Like he's fucking, they're like, yeah, he's fucking good. Now he's fucking 230 out of camp and stuff. Like, I just don't think he's going to have the speed he thinks he's going to have. And his speed kind of was translating pretty well at 185. And if you lose that speed, I think his power was already pretty, I know he's known as the eraser and stuff, but it's his power at this point seems a little bit overrated. Maybe he carries a little bit more at 205, but I get the love for Paulo. He's a fun guy. He's a tough dude. He's going to look probably good early. You know, he's going to be, you know, flashy in there. He's going to have the good kicks. He's got really crisp kicks. But it just feels like Azamat's going to be a step ahead. This is natural weight class. He's going to be more comfortable with 205 power, with 205. He's going to understand his speed more than I think Paulo's going to understand his speed against like an actual 205er. So, you know, maybe Saturday we'll look at something for Paulo and he can definitely squeak out, you know, win or whatever. But, you know, the professor, whatever the fuck his name is, he's pretty dialed in on the striking. So, I gotta go Azamat, unfortunately, on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the same side here, and maybe I am just giving Paulo a little too much respect for what he's done in the past. Because that is a wild stat. That was the only win over somebody on the roster, and even that win, like you said, Roman was losing to Chris Curtis before that last second knockout. Like, not exactly the.
He's not who we thought he was going to be, I would say.
No, and Paulo Costa's like been lingering in the top 5 forever. Like literally forever, been lingering in the top 5 and, you know, big step down. So Azamat Murzakanov is going to be the pick, both sides. I've got a little bit of hesitation there because of how good Paulo is, but check out the bets we have because there are bets on this fight on the board. Go to wewantpicks.com, click become a member at the top. It is only $10 for an entire month's worth of access, and that month gives you everything. There's no upsell, there's no cross sell, there's no weird tiers, there's no like, oh, you're here for the bets. Well, how about no tiers, nothing. All of it instantly, one click. WeWantPicks.com.